no problem whatsoever. We'll begin the Planning Committee meeting of Akron City Council. Excuse my voice, allergies. But at this point, I'd like to ask for a roll call.
Fusco.
Aye.
Kamer.
Aye.
Connor.
Aye.
Baylor. Mosley.
Aye.
All committee members are present except for Baylor.
Thank you. At this time, I'd like to entertain a motion that we accept the minutes of the previously held meeting.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Again? Against? The ayes have it. Excuse me. Very good. We have, I believe, 3 items that are up for public hearing this afternoon. And the procedures are that what we will first receive a report from the planning department. After that report, we will then ask that if anyone wishes to testify on that particular item, that they stand and be sworn in by a representative of our law department, okay? Then what we'll do is we'll open up the public hearing, and we'll entertain comments, questions. After that, what we'll then do is we will close the public hearing portion. We'll open it up to committee members for questions or comments. After that, we'll open it to all of City Council for questions or comments. And then what we'll do is we will repeat the process this evening at 7 o'clock, of which we would love to have you back at 7 o'clock for your input. The only difference between now and then is that we will make a recommendation. The Planning Committee of City Council will make a recommendation to everybody on City Council this evening. So either to pass it, to turn it down, or to take time, table an item. So those are that's the difference between 1 o'clock and 7 o'clock. So thank you. So the first item, could you please read that in, Ms. Viviano, the first item that's up for public hearing?
Yep, the first item is an ordinance authorizing a conditional use to vary the side yard setback to construct an addition at 49 Jewett Street.
Thank you. Mr. Antonucci?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman, committee members. Alan and Michelle Hill are seeking approval to construct an addition in the rear yard of their residence. The variance is necessary as their primary dwelling unit sits 3.5 feet away from their southern property line, which is less than the required 5 feet. The proposed structure would be clad in vinyl siding to match the existing dwelling. This dense neighborhood on the periphery of Suma Akron City Hospital is characterized by modest homes on typically small, narrow lots. The housing stock in this area can present challenges to home buyers who often desire more spacious lots and dwellings or additional space. The petitioners purchased the residence from the owner of the adjacent properties on both sides, and they have since made substantial improvements to the property. The proposed addition will create living space and will add value to this property and neighborhood without having negative effects on surrounding properties. The Office of Integrated Development, Planning Staff, and Planning Commission recommend approval subject to conditions.
Thank you, Mr. Antonucci. At this time, I'd like to ask a representative from our law department to please swear in those individuals that wish to testify. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm not quite used to that. Sarah Viviano, could you please swear in those individuals that wish to testify? Thank you.
Sure, we do have a few individuals online. If you're online, could you unmute and make sure your camera is on? If you're here in chambers, could you please stand if you're here to speak for this public hearing? I'm going to ask you to please raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you give will be the truth? If so, please say, I do.
I do.
I do.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sarah Viviano. At this point, I do have a listing of those individuals, I believe, who are present on Zoom. The first of which is Michelle Hill, the petitioner. If you'd like to make, yes, if you could please provide first your name and address. Thank you.
Yes, Michelle Hill, 49 Jewett Street, Akron, Ohio, 44305.
Thank you. Yes, if you have any questions or comments.
No, I don't think so.
Oh, okay. Thank you very much. Thank you. I also would like to recognize Zach Cole, is also with us. Any comments or questions, Mr. Cole?
Yeah, I'm the neighbor. I own the houses on the right and the left of the hills. One's a rental and one is my residence. And just wanted to affirm this, just excited about improvements in the neighborhood, both as a resident and also executive director of the Well CDC. I think additions like this are productive and healthy in our community and only bring positive value into the neighborhood. So just wanted to share my affirmation of the project.
Thank you for your comments. Excuse me, is there anyone else that wishes to make comments in reference to the conditional use at 49 Jewett Street, either online or in chambers? Anyone? Okay, not seeing anyone, we'll close the public hearing portion. I'm sorry. Okay, I'd like to close the public hearing first, and then we'll open it up to, yeah, we'll close the public hearing, not seeing anyone, and we will now open it up to questions or comments from any of the committee members. And Sharon Connor, I see your hands up.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just want to also affirm the addition for this home. It has been so fun to watch the development of Middlebury through the Well and young families moving in. Anything we can do to help is appreciated. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any other committee members have any questions or comments at this time? Anyone? Any other council members? Anyone? Okay, very good. And again, we'll invite you back this evening at 7 o'clock. If you'd like to attend in person or via Zoom, you may. And thank you very much for attending this afternoon. The next public hearing, Ms. Viviana, could you please read that in?
An ordinance authorizing a conditional use to establish a 3-unit apartment house at 146 Oakdale Avenue.
Thank you, Mr. Antonucci.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman, committee members. Ken Tan and Stephen Fleming are requesting permission to establish the property as a 3-unit apartment dwelling. Because the property is within a single-family residential use district, conditional use approval is required. Tax records indicate that the dwelling was constructed in 1907. Throughout the years, the property has been subdivided into several units, including an illegally converted 6-unit apartment by the previous owner. That owner was denied conditional use requests twice to retain the 6 apartment units. Subsequent petitions to the Board of Zoning Appeals and the Court of Common Pleas were also denied, and the appellant was informed both times that he was to revert the property to its legal use as a legal non-conforming 2-family dwelling. The final request by the previous owner to convert the property to a 4-unit residence was in 2007. This was also denied. The petitioner's narrative statement describes the structure as 3-story dwelling with apartments on the 1st and 2nd floor, with a possible 3rd unit being the 3rd floor attic. The proposed attic apartment currently has a single bedroom, full bath, and full kitchen. Access would be from the back porch and up a staircase. There is sufficient parking area for multiple vehicles in the driveway and detached garage. The West Hill neighborhood property is within the Highland Square neighborhood development area, the Hall Park Allotment Historic District, and is listed on the National Register of Historic Places. The intention of the Highland Square Renewal Plan is to maintain a reasonable density in the neighborhood. The planning staff recognizes that the petitioners have reduced the number of illegal units within the dwelling. However, a 3rd unit was never legal. Prior to the illegal conversion to 6 units, the dwelling was a long-standing 2-family use. One goal of the Land Use and Development Guide Plan is to preserve and protect single-family neighborhoods. An added 3rd unit would constitute an overdevelopment and is not compatible with the Land Use and Development Guide Plan. Continuing the legal non-conforming 2-family use is consistent with the current use and harmonious with other similar structures in this West Hill neighborhood. As such, the planning staff cannot support the conversion of 146 Oakdale Avenue to a 3-unit apartment use. Office of Integrated Development, Planning Staff, and Planning Commission recommend disapproval. Thank you.
Thank you for your report, Mr. Antonucci. Ms. Biviano, would you like to swear in any individuals that wish to testify before the committee?
Yes, we do have one that has joined online. Stephen Fleming, I can see that you're here, but your camera is not on. Are you able to turn on your camera?
I'm sorry. First time Zoom meeting here. Appears my camera's not functioning. I'm not sure how to get that to work for me. But yes, I am here. My name is Stephen Fleming. I'm here to speak about 146 Oakdale Avenue.
Okay, I'll swear you in first then. If you could please answer, do you swear or affirm that the testimony you give will be the truth? If so, please say, "I do."
I do.
Thank you.
Okay, very good. We'll now open the public hearing portion and ask if there's anyone. Mr. Fleming, I see you are, I believe, the only person that had sworn in. If you could please provide for us your name and address. Thank you.
Stephen Fleming. I reside at 9833 62nd Avenue South in Seattle, Washington. I'm here to speak about 146 Oakdale Avenue, Akron.
Okay. Yes, sir.
Yes, I understand the concerns of density in the neighborhood, and trust me, I love the neighborhood. It's a beautiful neighborhood, and I'm trying to invest in the home and Akron and the neighborhood. I'm an Akronite. I left Akron in 2005 due to economic hardships, and I would like to return eventually, and this is planning my return to Akron. I'd like to invest in this neighborhood, which I consider where I'd like to end up in the future. Currently, additional apartment in the third floor would help me renovate the house. I've already invested into replacing or repairing the roof, and I have more roof work to complete. And I believe that leaving these large houses, such as 146, with their empty apartments, I believe that allows them to deteriorate over time. Ideally, it'd be great for a single family home or a two-family home, but I don't think the neighborhood's quite there yet. I think there's a lot of pride in this neighborhood, and I believe my investment in the neighborhood wouldn't have an impact on the neighborhood at all as far as having an additional unit due to the lot size and the size of the home. I believe everybody can coexist. And that's all. I just want to share that I'm really into the history of the neighborhood. I've done much research on the original owners. I find it all fascinating, and I believe I can find the right sort of tenants to live in the space. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for your comments. Is there anyone else wishing to make comment about this? No? Yes, if you'd like to. Were you sworn in? You may speak if you'd like to. Just got to make sure we're sworn in. Yeah, if you,
Yes,
Sarah.
if you could please raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you give will be the truth? If so, please say, "I do." Thank you.
Thank you. Please step to the podium, and if you could please provide for us your name and address. Thank you. If you move the microphone. No problem.
My name is Jane Startzman, and I live at 155 Oakdale. And I just want to say that my neighbors and I, we had a meeting a couple of weeks ago to the tune of 20 people that showed up that we all are against having this conditional use granted. We're all concerned about balance in the neighborhood. We're concerned about keeping the density low. We're concerned about quality of life, and we're concerned about safety. And we feel that just because a house is large does not mean that it can be divided up into multiple units. We have neighbors, brand new neighbors, actually, before I even get to that, 20 years ago, I was here talking to all of you all about this very same house, along with my neighbors. And the very same issue, actually, and it was because it was a large house, and oh, you can put 4 units in it. Well, sure, let's go to Fairlawn Heights and see how that flies, is my argument. Second of all, back then, the neighbors were instrumental in getting an ordinance put in place that controlled these conditional usages. And I thank you, Mr. Antonucci, with your explanation from planning about the history of all of this. And you can see that over 2 units has been denied over and over and over again with this house. It's a very famous house. It is the keystone house, frankly, of our historic district in West Hill. All of us neighbors raised over $15,000 to put forward an application to create the historic district. I shouldn't say it's a key house, it's one of 4 that create an intersection. But it's very important to continue quality of life, safety, and keep density down. And we have nothing against landlords. We welcome renters. This is not about that. It's about conditional usages, and frankly, in my opinion, I wish that all either single-family or homes that are zoned two-family, however they're zoned, are not further divided up. I think this would help any and every neighborhood in our city. I don't think it's necessary. It doesn't seem to do nice things for homes. I know at the Ward 1 meeting the other night, we had someone discuss the Interbelt construction that absolutely tore apart and ruined a neighborhood here. I know this is a different problem, but maybe it's a little more insidious because it happens over time. And you keep dividing homes, and you keep dividing homes. People leave. People don't come out on their porches and talk to each other across the street anymore. And it ruins neighbors, and it ruins neighborhoods. I'm very much against it, and particularly absentee landlords that do not live here or that are not from the area. They may think that they understand everything, but you know, I want to know, is the landlord going to come in and either live there, invest in the property in terms of taking care of it, not just talk the talk. I'd like to see them walk the walk, and we haven't seen that much of that yet. So anyway, that's my opinion.
Thank you. Thank you for your comments. Is there anyone else wishing to speak before the committee?
Hello, my name is Don Climes. I live at 166 Oakdale Avenue. I was the president of the West Hill organization, unfortunately, for 10 years while all of these processes were going on. We started out with a horrible density. We had the police neighborhood constantly because there were meth houses and all kinds of things going on in the neighborhood. And we finally, in 2003, got the city to change the density. For the last 20 years, everything in the neighborhood is quiet, everything has changed, and people are moving back in. To just willy-nilly change things back because somebody wants to put a third unit in is ridiculous. I have talked to the tenants there. They have told me that he substantially raised their rent, and also they told me that he was thinking about having an Airbnb on the 3rd floor. So I am not sure exactly what his intentions are. So I would ask that you reject this. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Excuse me, thank you. Anyone else wishing to make any comments before the committee? Anyone? Okay, not seeing anyone, we'll close the public hearing portion and open it up to any committee members that may have questions or comments. I just have one. Excuse me, Mr. Antonucci, I see here one of the conditions, I just hit the wrong button, states that that this condition is, which is, I don't know if this isn't necessarily new, but that the house, if it's a multifamily, be registered with the city of Akron as an apartment type complex, correct?
Yeah, any kind of a rental unit would need to be rental registered through our housing
Exactly right,
division.
yes. Is this?
It is.
It is? Okay, good. Thank you very, very much for that. With that, we'll open it up to any questions or comments. I'm sure Nancy Holland has some questions or comments.
Thank you so much, Chairman Fusco. Ladies and gentlemen, the folks who have spoken here today and those who came before the Planning Commission some weeks ago represent some of the most engaged, active, invested residents of Akron's Ward 1 there are. These are folks who care deeply about Akron's history and Akron's future. They are well-informed, they are knowledgeable and caring neighbors who represent the very best of us. And I would not only underscore the comments made today, but also remind all of us that everything that we do here is about striking a balance. And when we are talking about an out-of-state investor with very tenuous connection to this neighborhood, who actually went so far as to suggest that there are issues with this neighborhood from his tremendous distance, I think that we really need to look at what we know. Mr. Antonucci and his office, as well as the Planning Commission, have developed a very complete record here. We do have concerns about density. We do have concerns about safety, which should always guide our decisions here. I would only add that the historic Hall Park District is a showplace of Akron. Now, you know, as we continue to traverse a time of great social awareness, as we continue to look at what Akron is and what Akron can be, I would invite everyone here and everyone watching from home to take a spin down Oakdale and recognize that this is an extraordinary place, just like so many other extraordinary places in Akron. And for all of these reasons, and in support of the residents who came today and before the Planning Commission, and all of those whom they represent today, I would ask that you cast your vote against this conditional use. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any other questions or comments from anyone? Okay, hearing none, we'll invite you back this evening, of course, at 7 o'clock, of which we will conduct another public hearing. And you're welcome, your comments will be welcome. The next item that's up for a public hearing, Ms. Viviano.
This is an ordinance authorizing a conditional use to construct a commercial storage building at 226 Crosby Street.
Mr. Antonucci.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, committee members. Catherine and Aaron Novak are requesting permission to construct a storage building on their property for the heating and cooling business, which is a commercial use. They also intend to use the building as a community space and they operate an at-home weaving business. This property currently holds one home that was constructed in 1865, as well as an accessory garage. The proposed building will be 25.5 feet in height and 60 feet by 40 feet for a total area of 2,400 square feet. We'll have metal siding with one 18-foot wide garage door and one 10-foot wide garage door and two 3-foot wide man doors. It will be set back more than 45 feet from Crosby Street. The main entrance will be through an existing curb cut along Crosby Street at the northeast corner of the property. The facade of the building will be painted Sherwin-Williams Rembrandt red in order to match the house. The sole employee of the HVAC business meets the owner at work sites and won't come onto the property. Finally, the petitioner does not intend to have any equipment left outside or visible from the right-of-way. Petitioner will be improving the value of their property and providing much-needed investment in the neighborhood. The purpose of the West Hill Village zoning, which is UPD 40A, was to encourage home businesses that would revitalize the West Hill neighborhood. We find that this matches the spirit of that zoning classification and believe this proposal will be harmonious with the abutting uses along Crosby Street and the neighborhood as a whole. And Office of Integrated Development, Planning Staff, and Planning Commission recommend approval subject to conditions.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Antonucci. Ms. Viviano, would you like to swear in those individuals that may wish to testify?
Could you please raise your right hand? Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you give will be the truth? If so, please say I do. Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much. We'll now open up the public hearing, and if there's anyone wishing to testify, please provide for us your name and address. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Catherine Novak. I live at 108 South Maple. I love my home. I bought it 4 years ago. When we bought it, there was a hole in the ceiling that went to the hole in the roof. We redid the entire house from top to bottom, and we just love every piece of it. Unfortunately, we have had some things we've run into security-wise. We've had our house broken into on our wedding night. People trying to steal our air conditioners that are attached to our house. We do have a lot of tools and equipment for HVAC that are in our vehicles. So we have a Sprinter Of course, we had to get the really tall Sprinter that cannot fit in a garage. So our dream would be to have a space that we can fit all of our vehicles, all of our equipment, nothing can be seen from the street. I can have a very large loom for myself. I'm also a teacher, so I can teach in there and having a large space to have students come in if I like, and also being able to do neighborhood events. We had Wonderfest last year, which was amazing. I had a band play in my backyard, which is probably going to happen again, but it'd be wonderful to have a space that was covered in case the weather was bad and have future events there. So we see it as more of a space to ignite the neighborhood, bring people together, have us maybe be able to sleep at night and have safe sense of security and things like that. I'm not sure if I should ask this here, but we were asking if we could move it 10 feet back. There's a tree that I love that I don't want to have to cut down. But we own the 4 lots, so it actually would just make it more central on our property, so it'll be one unified lot. But I was going to chain myself to the tree. My husband was like, this is a good spot. I'm like, no, this is my tree. So, yeah, that's all. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Certainly appreciate it. Anyone else wishing to speak before the committee? The tree question.
We also don't, my name is Don Climbs, 166 Oakdale Avenue, and we don't live far from there. And we appreciate that she needs that building because of the neighborhood. It's not that secure, and when you call somebody to come, it usually takes 30, 40 minutes for the police to show up. So a lot of things happen, and we know that she needs something like that. We appreciate that they are painting it the same colors as her house, and it will be a great venue area for in the neighborhood. If any of you did get to that last year, it was a wonderful thing. We could hear the band from our house, which is probably about 3 blocks away, so it was real nice. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
It's me again, Jane from 155 Oakdale Avenue. I just want to say everything that Don said, I agree with, and this is one instance. You see, we're not always just complainers, but this is one instance where this makes total sense, and we're in support of her, so we hope she gets it. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Anyone else wishing to make any comments or questions? Okay, not hearing any, we'll close the public hearing portion. There was a reference question from the petitioner about a tree. Mr. Antonucci, any comments on that?
Yeah, I'd say, yeah, there shouldn't be a problem moving that back 10 feet, although there is a condition on there that the parcels be combined. It is combined for tax purposes, but there are actually separate parcels there. So if they actually get those combined, moving it back 10 feet, it would actually end up straddling that line, but once it's combined, that shouldn't be a problem.
Okay, good, because of the setback requirements. You understand? Good. All right, very good. Good. Okay, any questions or comments from any committee members? Nancy Holland, I'm sure.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Once again, we hear from some of the most engaged citizens of Ward 1. Kat and Aaron Novak have added value and energy to the UPD 40 on South Maple since the day they moved in. I think as a neighborhood and as a very connected neighborhood, our only regret is that their early days were marked with some hardships, and I think we all are united in wanting the very best for them. And so this proposed accessory building will not only provide some security for some of Aaron's equipment, but also Kat's talent as a textile artist and her ability to house a loom. And I'm not gonna lie, I can't wait to take a weaving class with her just blocks from my own home. This is exactly what we're aiming for in the UPD 40, and this is exactly the flavor of West Hill. I'm so proud of my neighborhood and my neighbors today, and for all these reasons, I support this conditional use. Thank you.
Thank you. Further questions or comments from anyone? Very good, yeah. Any of the committee members or council members wish to drive by, you've done a great job over there with the garden next door, and you've done a good job over there, and thank you for that, for the community. With that, we'll invite you back this evening, 7 o'clock, and the committee will then make a recommendation to all of council, and we'll move on to the balance of the agenda, of which I don't believe we have anything else. at this point. So with that, we're adjourned. Thank you very much.
Our next committee today will be the Public Service Committee, and it will begin at 2 o'clock. Those committee members are Mosley, Kamer, Holland, Lombardo, and McKittrick. Again, that's the Public Service Committee, and it will begin at 2 o'clock. Thank you.